Hello out there. My name is Kundalini. This is part 2 of the video. My Kundalini has awakened. Now what? I went through a Kundalini awakening around 2013, 2014. And it was a completely powerfully transformative experience in my life. It restructured the whole dynamic of how I saw reality. It was the most beautiful and the most terrifying, disrupting thing I had ever gone through in my whole life. And I'm very grateful for it now in retrospect. But I understand the challenges that so many people go through when they're experiencing a Kundalini awakening. When I first had my awakening, I was, I had been practicing yoga and Kundalini yoga for about 2 years prior to this happening, but I knew nothing of what a Kundalini awakening was. I only knew Kundalini yoga as a means through which to heal and transform, and it was a form of energy, yoga, and science. And little did I know that in practicing that particular technology, it was probably priming something that was laying dormant within me. And so once it had awakened, it was the most powerful and true experience I had ever had in my whole life. And it was also the most terrifying and traumatizing. So I have a lot of empathy and a lot of compassion for those of you who are out there right now struggling to find answers to how to navigate this completely new domain of reality and experience. And when I was going through my awakening, there weren't as many resources out there as there are now. And that's both a blessing and a curse. The blessing is there wasn't a lot of predatory behavior out there, people seeking to get money or my attention out of my desperation for needing more information or more insight or more clarity, which there's a lot of that out there nowadays. The curse was that my only resource was really to turn to books on yoga, books on ancient spiritual technologies. And through reading a lot of those books, I gained a lot of clarity and understanding of what was happening to me. If it weren't for my practice of yoga, if it weren't for understanding some of the ancient healing modalities that are out there, I would not have been able to move effectively through the Kundalini awakening. So there's a couple things that I'd like to talk about today. One is what we're being recruited into through spirit, through energy, through consciousness. Two, some of the tools that we can use to assist in facilitating that recruitment. Excuse me. And three, gosh, what is three? Three is some of the traps that are out there. And and some of the points of confusion. So first of all, a Kundalini awakening is a recruitment to our highest capacity as a human being. We are being asked to step into a spiritual space of sovereignty unlike anything we have ever experienced before. And it's quite contrary to what our society is setting us up for, the way that we have been raised and institutionalized. We are constantly trained to seek outside of ourselves for information, for relief, for clarity, for everything. When a Kundalini awakening occurs, we are being recruited to turn within. We are being recruited to look to ourselves as our source of power, our source of sovereignty, and our source of awakening. And for many, this is something you've never done before. You've always turned to experts on particular topics. And I don't discourage you from doing that. But when it comes to your Kundalini awakening, you are the best expert on it. And it's through your own self-reflection, through the time that you give yourself to heal and understand and explore and surrender, that you become your best expert on this experience. And this is the information that I gained through reading a number of books that had assisted me in navigating my own awakening. One, whenever we're stuck in fear, it's because we are stuck in limitation. It's because we are stuck in the identification of the body and the mind. We are institutionalized and trained to really just look at ourselves as just body and mind. Yoga reminds us, ancient modalities remind us that more than just the physicality and the mentality, we are also energy, we are also consciousness, we are also spirit. And during a Kundalini awakening, this is what it starts to make itself known to us. And so we've never worked in that paradigm before, and we try and resolve that crisis through the mind and through the body. And when we do that, we create a significant amount of suffering for ourselves. Because as Einstein once said, and it applies to so many things, this included, you cannot resolve a problem that was created at a particular level of consciousness. And this is a paraphrase. But we cannot resolve the crisis of a Kundalini awakening with the lower realm of existence, with the lower realm of consciousness, which is focused on body and mind. We have to educate ourselves. We have to recruit ourselves to start to develop our identity as spiritual beings, as energetic beings, as beings with consciousness. And in doing so, we start to gain more familiarity, more comfort, and more connection to this awakening energy. Okay, so we're being recruited to become sovereign spiritual beings. And that's not easy. It's not fun. We really have to turn inward and find our own inner strength and our own inner power. Okay, the next thing, some of the tools that are very useful. Now, the ancient yogis, as a yoga teacher, as a meditation teacher, also as a Vedic astrologer, I've done a lot of work and research into some of these ancient cultures, ancient texts. And in many of these ancient Vedic texts and yogic texts, Kundalini energy is referred to constantly. These ancient forebearers of us were aware of this energy. And they were writing down instructions and information and how-to guides for us to be able to learn how to facilitate this energy. And those how-to guides are present for us in the practice of yoga, in the practice of meditation, through chanting mantra, through experiencing sound healing, through experiencing energy work, through prayer, through self-reflection. The 8 limbs of yoga have everything available within them to assist us to navigate the awakening process. And for those of you who are going through awakenings that already practice yoga, you're already a step ahead of the game. For those of you who are in a very desperate and confused place going through an awakening, I encourage you, if you're seeking relief that is sustainable, that is truthful, and that is nurturing to your mind, body, and spirit, consider picking up a practice of yoga. And there's so many ways of yoga that appeal to various different personality types and various different personal constitutions, whether it's a more physical form of asana like Ashtanga or Vinyasa, or whether you really want to tap into energy work and spirit and sound and breath, you can go into Kundalini, or whether you're extremely overactivated and overstressed, maybe something more like restorative or yin yoga can be the route through which you go. But I encourage you to consider picking up a practice of yoga, because these ancient yogis knew exactly what we're going through, and they gave us the wisdom through the practice of yoga, using the body, using the mind, using the breath to open up and create a familiarity and a relationship with these deeper layers and subtler layers of our being, which are consciousness and spirit. Kundalini energy is spiritual energy. So the more that you can open yourself up into spirit in a way that feels truthful and honest to you, I encourage you to do that. You'll find much relief. The other part of the benefit of yoga is that it strengthens not only your physical body and creates the vehicle to be more primed for the movement of heightened levels of energy, it also strengthens the nervous system. And in strengthening the nervous system, it's like upgrading the wiring of your house, right? It allows for a stronger and more consistent current of energy to move through you. And so often when we're having a Kundalini awakening, it's such a powerful energetic surge that if the body is not primed to receive that energy, it can kind of fry the circuits, so to speak. So whether you're finding yourself in a space like I described, like fried circuits, or whether you're feeling overwhelmed by the energy and that the body can't quite sustain it, it's likely because your nervous system is not strong enough yet to bear the burden of energy that's moving through you. And how does our nervous system become weak? Our nervous system becomes weak through avoiding recruitment in life, stepping away from challenge, stepping away from hardship, and constantly seeking comfort. When we constantly seek comfort, avoid fear, avoid pain, we weaken the nervous system, we weaken our constitution, we weaken our resolve and our resiliency. And what's so very interesting about this particular day and age that we live in right now is that everything is endeavoring in our consumer-based society to make our lives easier, to cause it so we don't have to experience discomfort or even have to wait for very long. So in getting accustomed to those modern conveniences, we also unknowingly are weakening our resolve, are weakening our constitution, and are weakening our nervous system. One of the most powerful things that we can do for ourselves is to step into challenge, to recruit ourselves into discomfort. And this is one of the wonderful things about yoga. We put ourselves in postures and positions that are somewhat discomfort and challenging of the boundaries of our mind and our body. And then we train ourselves to breathe and move through it with poise and dignity. And that is conveying an education over to the physical body, over to the mind, over to the spirit, over to the energy systems, that we have the capacity to move through challenging and difficult things. Right? It's very simple, but it carries over to such a larger body of relevance. So, the tools, I encourage you, find a practice of yoga that suits you. Step into meditation. Step into recognizing yourself as not only a physical being and as a mental being, but also energetic, spiritual, and vibrational. Understanding those subtler aspects of our nature, because that's what's awakening within us as we go through a Kundalini awakening. Okay? And also this very hurried and rushed nature of our society nowadays. Our nervous systems are in a state of what they call chronic activation. They're overstimulated, whether it's the sights, the sounds, the information that's coming to us through various mediums. We get overburdened in the nervous system, and it creates kind of a fight or flight behavior, an activation that puts us in a chronic state of stress. In order to allow this energy to move through us effectively and fulfill its mission, for a lack of better words, we have to learn how to reclaim some state of calm and relaxation. Invite ourselves into states of non-doing and let that be okay. Bear witness to maybe how overactivated the nervous system is and give ourselves time to recalibrate and rebalance. And as you do that, you will notice that the energy starts moving through you much more effectively. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about in this part 2 of our video on my Kundalini has awakened, now what, is some of the traps that are out there. I, as a person who has had their Kundalini awakened, and having spoken to other individuals who have gone through awakenings, we have discussed what we see as some of these traps that are out there. And they look like they might be resources to benefit you. Like, go to a 24-hour workshop and activate your Kundalini, and it's going to be $5,000 and you'll walk away enlightened. No, it's not how it works. It's really not how it works. And it's very toxic, some of those traps that are out there. But people are feeding not only on your weakness and desperation if you're going through the confusing experience, but they're also preying on those people who have a desire system around awakening their Kundalini energy. Those of you who are very much motivated to awaken your Kundalini energy, one, be careful what you wish for, because although it is a very, very powerful experience, it will bring you to your knees. It will dismantle so many things in your life and cause you to have to rebuild from the ground up. I encourage you not to move through this from an ego-based desire system, thinking that it's going to give you an edge of some sort. Maybe after you move through and clear all of those fantasies about it, it will, but it will be most certainly in the way that you least expected. So I caution those of you who maybe have not had your energy awaken, but who have a strong desire system around awakening your energy. My experience with the energy was that it does not respond to ambition. It does not respond to force. It responds to a system that is primed and humble and prepared. And by prepared, I mean body, mind, nervous system, consciousness, energy, the whole thing. And if you are still motivated to awaken your Kundalini energy, start practicing yoga, start meditating, right? Read the ancient texts, understand this energy, not as you would have a desire system around acquiring a new thing or acquiring some sort of advancement in yourself or an advanced degree. This is something that is going to completely break you down and build you back up again, should you follow the correct path to align with it. It meets you where you're at, and it's not through your ambition and your desire system. It's through the preparation of your spirit, your body, your mind, your consciousness, your energy, and your nervous system. Now, some of the other traps out there, I think, are related to anything that is asking you to really still maintain a preoccupation with the body and the mind. You can't figure this out. You can't wear it out through your body. It is really something that requires a merging with something more subtle. And I offer this video just as a means through which to share my own experience, strength, and hope with regard to the awakening process. It took me, after my energy had awakened, it had taken me 7 years to move through some of the symptoms that were a result of the awakening process. Depression, extreme pain in the body, a dismantling of my career, a dismantling of a lot of my social circles, coming into confidence with my spiritual identity, which was something that really hadn't been cultivated prior to that. And now I find myself in 2025 now being a teacher who comes from a space of knowledge and confidence, but ever expanding curiosity to understand this, because this energy of Kundalini cannot be contained and fully known. It can only be accessed through our humility. So if you're experiencing challenges, I encourage you to refer to those who have awakened, those who have had their Kundalini energy awaken, because this is not something that can be fully understood or supported through those that are merely approaching it at an intellectual level. right? There needs to be a phenomenological and an experiential connection with the energy to ever be of grand resource to another. So seek out those teachers and those guides and those helpers out there that have actually experienced a Kundalini awakening. Feel free to email me, Kara@karalooney.com, and I offer online live stream yoga classes 4 times a week. I also offer 40-day meditation journeys and astrological readings to assist people not only in the navigation of their lives in general and the exploration of their spiritual consciousness, but also to assist those who are moving through Kundalini awakenings. And sending everyone blessings, and may we all evolve to our highest potential and trust that it's in our best interest. Namaste.